everybody, and welcome to TableTakes. Today is December 4th. It is the first week of December. Ooh, I hope you guys are staying warm in this very chilly weather. Seattle's not quite snowing yet, but it will be, maybe. I don't know. It depends. It's 2020. Let's see what happens. On that note, so Derek, I hear you found a friend. Did you find a friend?
Not only did I find a friend, but they found a goddamn Christmas miracle. And they found an Xbox Series X to me and shipped it to me. It hasn't arrived yet. I have already had an emotional roller coaster as the estimated shipping date was originally listed, or arrival date was originally listed as Monday. I got very excited. Now it has slipped to Thursday, but I have faith that Santa will deliver that, or FedEx, one of those two. So I'm very, very excited about that because I've been trying everywhere to buy one, and it just obviously has been sold out, largely apparently because scalpers keep buying them and then reselling them for about 3 to 5 times the value on eBay.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you want to spend $1,800, you can get one. I am not interested in that. So I had resigned myself that I would just have to wait until January. But miracles have occurred, and a friend has come through, so I appreciate it.
Very nice.
Your friend also has connections at the PlayStation company.
At the PlayStation.
Can you call me for that as well?
Apparently their connections were they went to a Target nearby.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
They just lucked out.
Got it. Very lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of Christmas things to get excited about. Emma, you got a lot of show and tell for us, right?
Yeah, so I went all in on advent calendars this year. It's kind of been years since I've done advent calendars, but this year, for some reason, I don't know, maybe just a lot of time on my hands. I went in on it. So I think I had shown off on the show or not, I forget, but my dice advent calendar from Q Workshop that I got, and now it's December, so I can start opening it. And I got some great dice so far. It's a little hard to show on camera, but different ones. This has like Elvish script on it. This one has a llama on it. You can't really see, but it's blue and sparkly. It's like a little llama on there. And this one, they just kind of put one of each dice face from their company. It's just got like dragons and steampunk and different things. But today is the 4th, and I haven't actually opened my dice. So I'm actually going to open it right here. And hopefully
exclusive preview content.
Hopefully I'm not spoiling it for you if you also have this, but you'll this one's a D20 and it's a little Christmassy. It's white, blue, and there's like a little bell on it. So yeah.
Oh, cute.
Oh, does it ring?
Yeah, you can't. It's very quiet though. You can't hear it.
It rings in your heart.
It rings in.
Yeah, so it's been super fun opening that. Other advent calendar I got was a green tea advent calendar. I kind of went all in. I've never like self-brewed green tea before, but I got this teapot. I got the special pottery cups. I got a matcha whisk. So every morning I like open a little tea and do like a little thing and eat the little Japanese snacks with it. And it's been really fun. So I've been enjoying that.
Nice. Very, very cool. Yeah, you get the little what is it? The sound they make? Shuka shuka?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is? Shuk, 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 shuk.
Yeah.
Very. Ooh, and then Isabella, do you have the jitters? You got the you got to work out that energy because something as exciting is coming along.
So for like the past 4 months, I've been working on a play. A completely virtual digital performance that involves 26 crew and cast members, 14 people in the cast from all over the country, from New York to LA, Chicago, Tennessee, Ohio, Atlanta. And we made a play. It's an adaptation of Mae West 1926 performance called Sex. And it is a raunchy, scandalous, funny play all about sex. And it
seems really out of character for you. How did you discover this? How did you decide to embrace it?
Listen, don't try to call me out on the stream in front of all these nice people, Derek. Okay. So yeah, I'm a huge Mae West fan. She was the original Saucy Minx, the blonde bombshell. And I'm really excited about this. I'm happy that I got to be able to do something, because like for me, 2020 was like a wash, and everything that I had lined up, all the creative projects, they were all gone. And so by it was August when I started talking to the producers about doing a play digitally, and we had no idea what it was going to look like, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And several months later, we have like a fully costumed, produced with music and costumes and everything, like a full play. It's just that everybody is from a different part of the country, and everybody is live streaming into one thing. And yeah, it runs from tonight until I should know this, 16th. I should know. I've been in production for too long. The last Sunday, I'm sorry, is the 20th. So that'll be, we run every weekend. And if you like plays, if you want to see a digital performance, of which there's not many, most plays have been canceled for obvious reasons, please check out this production that I did. I'm very nervous. It's my first opening of like a play that's going to go national. I've never had a national play, so I'm very scared. But yeah, very excited.
So how do people? How do people watch it?
You just close your eyes and you just think of me, and you just know. I will put the link for it in the chat. The tickets are now on sale. Sweet. And the tickets are available for everybody. So even if you can't pay too much, there is a pay what you can option for tickets. We just want everybody to be able to access and have and be able to see the show. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
It's going on tonight, folks. Go check it out.
Thank you.
And then also on other news, I've just been getting into the Bobiverse books. If you guys are ever sci-fi fans, you would know it's about a person whose mind is put in a robot or like in a spaceship and sent out to space to explore the world, and all the complications of what is humanity and what is a soul is in there. Along with, I'm really excited, tomorrow I'm going to be on another stream, Quiltoni stream. She's been a like part of Gen Con in terms of like doing the crafting shows, like signing up for those kind of things, not like official, but like in the background kind of things. And she is doing a jelly roll race, which is basically a bunch of sewers like sewing as fast as they can these like jelly roll scarves and patterns. And I'm going to be the host, and my job is to distract them the whole entire time by making jokes, and I can go ahead and give Gen Con a little taste of one of the questions, the mind blowers. It's Christmas themed. So here I'm going to ask you guys, is a gingerbread man made is a gingerbread man made of house, or is the house made of gingerbread flesh?
Oh, I know exactly the answer that I'm going with on that one.
It's made of flesh.
Yes.
Everyone's like, it's flesh. It's a flesh house.
Absolutely.
Nice. I'll be asking things like that to just rattle folks. And then the charity organization that we're raising for is St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, I should have posted a link here too. I will post that later, and you could check out my Twitter and then figure that out. But don't worry about that. That's just going to be tomorrow at 11 a.m. PST time. So if you guys want to check that out, it's going to be cool. On other news, hey, let's get into the zone, Adventure Zone with Emma.
All right. So talking about a new board game based on the world of the Adventure Zone. Adventure Zone, pretty popular. You might not have heard about it before. So Adventure Zone is Justin, Travis, and Griffin McElroy from My Brother, and Me. They recruited their dad, Clint, for a campaign of high adventure. Join them as they find fortune and slay an unconscionable number of kobolds or whatever in the Adventure Zone. So based on the description, you can see it's a role-playing game, but they're playing with their dad, who's not as experienced, and so they kind of make things up a little bit as they go along. So it's a show where they did actual plays of D&D, but loosely interpreted. So that very much speaks to the vibe of this universe that they've created. So Together Studios, which is Keith Baker and Jen Ellis, made a Bureau of Balance Adventure Zone board game based on this world. And the interesting news for today is that it actually won't be on Amazon during the holidays. So they're very specifically trying to support friendly local game stores by having it only available through those friendly local game stores and through the publisher's website. So I actually had a chance to talk a little bit with Keith and Jen about this game before it was released, and they're doing some really fun, cool stuff with making a dungeon crawly experience, but trying to build it in such a way that it's a little bit more accessible for people. It's very much in the spirit of the world that they've created. You know, it's not, you need to have all these books and have a DM or a GM for it. It's meant to be a game. You can just sit down, read the rules, play it in an hour to 2 hours. You go on an adventure. I was at Evergreen Tabletop Expo, or was I at a show watching some of the people play through the games, and they were encountering different scenarios and playing through them, and it's lightly mechanical. So lots of super fun stuff going in here. But because it's based on such a well-known IP, they were able to do some of these things. Like they didn't go to Kickstarter with it. They're able to support local game stores through this distribution and through the website of it. So it's just kind of cool that they can make those choices, and especially right now when it's been really tough for local game stores to kind of make it. And on Amazon, I've seen it, you know, a lot of board games are really cheap. They do sales and stuff, but that also makes it more difficult for local game stores because they can't necessarily compete with that. So I think it's just really cool to see them thinking about these things and making this product be something exciting and fun and popular that can help people out.
And if people actually,
really...
well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying that I think that's really unique. Like the Adventure Zone is so huge, and my brother and me and the McElroy boys are like so popular that they are like the perfect group of people to do this kind of thing, where they say like, no, you need to, people are going to buy this. They're going to buy the board game. And for them to say you cannot buy it through Amazon, you have to go through these kind of local sellers, they're the perfect people. And I really wish that more of these kind of the Adventure Zone or, you know, other kind of these scale people who like people will buy these games regardless of where they sell them at would go through that route instead of going through Amazon. I know that not everybody can make that choice about where they can sell their games to or who has access to that. But for this is perfect, and I really applaud them. I'm not into the McElroy boys as much as some of my other friends who are like diehard fans, but I think that this is great, a great idea.
And Bonsai and I actually played the game on
dope.
the stream back in January. I posted that link in chat. So if people want to get a sense for what it was like, I think shockingly, I played some weird vampire guy, if memory serves correctly. And we had a fun time. I know, right?
I got the secret ultimate weapon. That's all that was. I was like, yes, secret ultimate weapon. I have it. It's mine now.
And the thing is that we all know that it's important to support local game stores. And I think we all have very good intentions, but sometimes, you know, it gets late, or honestly, we're kind of lazy or just not thinking about it. So just like, oh, I should go to my local game store. And they're like, oh yeah, it's on Amazon. It's just so much easier. I can do ship and stuff. So it's really not that hard. You know, it's just kind of like we get in our head that we have to do all these things, but a lot of local game stores, especially now, they're doing shipping to anywhere in the country, right? So you can even you can go there and have it shipped. You can go to the website and have it shipped. So there's a lot of options here if you want to get this for yourself or as a gift.
Ooh, so like I said, let's go ahead and support those friendly local gaming stores and you know, keep this gaming economy alive to folks. Now, on more cool stuff in the gaming world, Derek, there's some new community content out, right?
There is. A lot of people may have heard about the indie game Agon or Agon. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but it was very successful on Kickstarter a while back, and it is a gorgeous game that's like you're playing Greek heroes or like Greek classical tragic heroes, or kind of playing through the Odyssey. Basically, you kind of have this classic hero, very like broadly defined, and you're traveling as a group, kind of going from island to island, finding out what the conflict is, resolving it in kind of a one-shot environment, and trying to earn the attention or favor of the gods through your journey until you can get home. And it has a really interesting structure that almost seems like a ritual in a lot of ways, where like the GM will say, or the Strife player will say, like, who answers the call to adventure on this island? And, you as a player might be like, I, Pericles, strong of mind and body, answer the call of adventure. And you kind of just narrate, and you have a handful of rolls to kind of get through the trials and then the ultimate conflict you have on this island. And win or lose, you go away and go to the next island on your journey. It's a really interesting setup. And they have explicitly opened the game up to community content, where they want people to write play sets, to adapt the game, expand the game, bring it to new genres. There's already been a lot of people who have released new islands for the game to just give you more of a journey to go on. But they've also been people who have released like new character sheets. Like I think somebody released an Arthurian legend version of it, where you kind of replace a lot of the stuff with a lot of the classic virtues that Arthurian legend wants to put forth. So they're trying to show the power of just changing the character sheet. And the release they've put out to kind of set a template for what folks can do is Chamber, which is kind of like if you really like the X-Files, when the X-Files is kind of serious, or if you really, really like Control, a recent video game that's easily among my favorite video games. It's very Delta Greeny. It's kind of like, high bureaucracy, high surreal weirdness, investigating these, supernatural, paranormal things that you just don't quite understand, and you're trying to deal with them as best you can. That is Chamber. So, there's like maybe 10, 12 pages of rules or something like that. There's a new character sheet, and there's enough to take that idea of Greek heroes and readapt it and kind of re-express it as federal agents who are investigating a weird phenomenon and need to kind of protect people and control it and find out what's going on. So, this is the path you can follow to make your own playset. They have very clear kind of guidelines. You can't repeat information, or you can't replicate rules information from the core book, but you can use their logo. You can charge for it. You can not charge for it. It's kind of dependent on how you want to release it. But they're hoping that a lot more people will kind of build content up around it, and that the existing core rulebook will just be the foundation for it that everybody can kind of play around. And John Harper, the creator who released Chamber as well, is promising / threatening that the upcoming playsets that he's going to release are, a Fast and the Furious playset called Ride or Die, a hotshot space pilots that called Storm Furies that basically sounds like Top Gun in space, paladins fighting demons and stuff like that. So it looks like he wants to kind of explore the area and wants other people to go along with him.
I think this is a really cool thing because there's a lot of conversation now about like how community involvement shapes games, and how a lot of the times community involvement makes games better, and how the companies should really be listening more to like how communities kind of influence this sort of stuff. And so to begin with this idea of like it's up to the community, involving the community from such an early thing, I think is really cool. And the thing that I like about I'm sorry, how do you pronounce this again? Agon?
Agon is how I have been doing it.
I like Agon. It just sounds
Agon.
That's cool.
It's a little too close to Egon for me.
Yeah.
But I do like this one because I've been playing a lot of rounds of Hades, and I'm really in a big Greek mythology kick. I've also been reading a lot of Lore Olympus, which is a really great web comic as well. And I love this idea of Chamber because I'm also a huge SCP fan, and so it seems like it's taking a lot of influence from SCP. And if you're not familiar with SCP, it's a community aggregated lore. I don't know how to think, but new people can write in different kind of lore of all these different kind of monsters and creatures and cursed items, and you can go into this huge database of user created media about all these different kinds of cursed items that's contained in this one area, the SCP, and all these people and having just disastrous interactions with these cursed items, and it's
Nice.
Trayvon.
Well, Chamber appears to basically be the role-playing game of kind of ritualized or highly structured players interacting with those kinds of things.
Yeah, it looks like that. It looks like it's like you get to play as part of the SCP Foundation. That's really cool.
John Harper is in chat and is confirming that SCP was a big influence on it.
Oh, nice. Hey!
You get a gold star.
Very excited about this game. You had me at SCP and X-Files, and I was like sold.
Yeah, and then Control was just icing on the top.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the really interesting thing that broad game designers I think can take from this is just that Control is really good. I will use any excuse to talk about Control, but I think the Chamber is really small, and obviously it leans on a larger game to kind of show you what you can do with it. But I do really like the idea of you can hack and kind of make this play set, and you can make almost a new game without really having to make a new game or worry about repeating a lot of information. You just kind of reskin some things. And then I think Chamber, as a particular example, shows how very minimal art and graphic design / layout choices goes a really long way to bring the flavor and aesthetic of the setting alive. Like, there are parts of the rules that are redacted. Not a lot, but just enough to kind of make you feel like that, government, they're hiding something from you aspect. And it works really, really well.
Wait a second. So John Harper's in the chat. John, is it Agon or a gun?
Or
you're in the chat.
Agony.
Is it a Jean?
What's the phonetic?
Like, hey,
A Jean? A goon?
Whoever actually knows how to pronounce something Greek is probably just
a Jean.
Just
John?
doing
Jean.
loops.
Agon. Agon.
I say it like
agony without the Y. Oh, so it's
Agon.
Agon.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank
we
you.
managed to run all the way around it and not say it correctly once.
Oh gosh.
Thank you so much for that, John.
It's so good. Yeah, there you go. But thank you. Yeah, now the answers have been unfilled, or not unfilled, revealed. So now we know. But thank you for clearing that up. On other exciting things that have happening, or well, depending on how you feel about these Origins, what's going on with that, Emma?
So the Origins Awards categories have been changed for 2021, and this is Gamma, the parent company for Origins, has made some tweaks to the categories. And this is in part because they received 300 submissions for Best Board Games of the Year, up from 81 the previous year. So in light of this, to give more games a shot at getting one of these awards, they've expanded their categories. So now, instead of just having the best board game, they split it up into family, general, historical, party / light, and strategy / heavy. Then best family game and best historical game have been rolled into the list. For RPGs, they split it into family / general audience, fantasy, and science fiction. So the categories are not for different game structures, but more for the styles, genres. I think in general, we discussed this a little bit before the show, more categories is better. Like, just more things getting awards is super awesome. Spreading the love a little bit between different things. It's also super difficult to compare apples and oranges. How do you compare this 20-card game to this 8-hour epic odyssey of a board game, right? It's really hard to say one of those is better than the others because they have very different audiences. So I think this is a good start. The board game categories, I think, are pretty well split up. Role-playing game categories, especially Derek, you were saying this, are a little questionable, mostly because,
little less useful.
where does horror games go? The categories seem a little bit limiting for, things that don't fit into fantasy or science fiction. Where does slice of life games go?
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of things that don't exactly seem to be covered in these categories.
I also feel like, I don't know, it's hard to say when somebody buys for theme versus like mechanics or intent. Like, I think if you look at the board game categories, those I think are very geared towards audiences.
Mhm.
Whereas the role-playing game categories really seem to be broken up based on style and very broad style, but there's a lot of styles that don't fit into those. And I don't feel like they really hit audiences. I don't feel like it differentiates between the people who love just D&D and they just want the classic adventure story. The trappings of it might vary, but they want the adventure story. They want the party, they want the DM, they want that feeling. But that's very different from folks who want a narrative story game. And where would that necessarily fit in here? Where does a time traveling game fit in here? Where does Torg, which is a weird mishmash of all those, fit in? If you can kind of come up with that many exceptions that don't seem to fit already, then maybe the categories, might need some reworking.
Yeah, and it also mentioned, Derek, for categorization in general, how it's a whole thing, especially for Gen Con, trying to break up what are categories used for? Are they meant to make it easier for people to find the things they like or love or enjoy? And what about when things fit into multiple categories or things seem to defy categorization? It can be tricky to make these little boxes you're trying to shove these things into.
It's a thing I've had to put a lot of thought into for a long time, and I have lots of opinions on. Just because for Gen Con, for event submission, what category you submit a game into is pretty fundamental in determining where it's listed, who might see it, what kind of space it requests and requires, and stuff like that. So it's a very difficult thing to figure out how you want to break things up, and you really have to kind of keep in mind it's both like informative to let people know how to find a thing that they're looking for, but also informative in the sense of giving them enough so that they can have some expectations as to how it's going to operate and how it's going to feel.
Yeah. Okay. So look forward to new categories for Origins Awards next year.
Yeah. Yes, and hopefully, and don't forget also, you can still, they do release, I think, every year, like things that you can kind of help categorize. So if you don't like the categories this year, put basically send your opinions out when they release the form again next year. Now, hey, it's time for things that COVID has delayed with Derek.
Is that our new segment?
Well, in irony of ironies, COVID, a plague sweeping the world, has caused a delay in the Plague Legions of the Death Guard getting their new release from Games Workshop. So that was supposed to release in December. I was very excited about it. They had started to leak a few things about it and preview a few things about it. But they just announced that it won't actually come out. In December. It will be early 2021. I've got my fingers crossed. That means January. But if you are like me and you are waiting for your Death Card fix, then there is like some wallpaper and there's some datasheet preview and stuff like that up on the Games Workshop website. So you can at least check that out, but you'll have to wait a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, unfortunately. But to keep you in happy mood, guess what that's happening this weekend? It's ModCon. Not con for mods that are modding, but Modiphius Con. So if you know, Modiphius is known most notably for Elder Scrolls Call to Arm, Fallout Wasteland, those type of games. They are hosting a online kind of like convention that is going to be from December 4th to December 6th. There will be panels and all types of things streamed throughout the weekend. But one of the things, or some of the things that are most notable, is a guide to how to be a great GM. And I know a few people in this, in TableTakes is really excited for. They're going to stream a live like playing of Dune, the new RPG, the Dune RPG. So if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, we'll go ahead and put the the links to everything in chat for more online games coordination, or like basically they're starting with online game coordinations, like with Start playing games, which just allows people to like get together, change get players together with GMs. So and not all the games are charged, but just keep an eye out on what is free, what is available for everybody, and what are things that do charge. So go ahead. ModCon, Modiphius Con is happening this weekend. On other news, what can they pre-order, Isabella?
So as I was sitting here listening, I was like, do the kids know what mods are? Do the kids know what a mod is anymore? I feel so old that I
it has a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
It would be someone who moderates chat, like would just be what I'm sure that's what would pop into people's minds on the average.
That's true.
The average Zoomer.
Back in my day, a mod was a cool kid who would hop on a Vespa scooter and listen to ska music. That was what. Oh, okay, never mind. Coming from pre-order.
I've got a Vespa.
Really,
Do you really?
Wow, really?
Yeah. What is that reaction?
Because the idea of you like zooming down the street on your little like.
Oh yeah. It's exactly what you think.
I need to see it immediately.
Yeah, pictures. We need Pixar didn't happen.
But it's Seattle, like it rains a lot, and then there's like no
I know.
cover. What are you doing?
I bought it when I first moved here, and everybody told me that it doesn't snow, and it's one of the biggest markets for Vespas in the country, and it's not a big deal.
There's hills.
I've learned my lesson since then.
Seriously, they didn't tell you about the fact that we have like hills that jut directly 20 feet in the air?
They did not.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was my first time ever riding a Vespa, was leaving the dealership during rush hour in downtown.
Oh.
So
I have definitely learned to drive that via fire.
But the idea of truly mullet in the wind, hair blowing, and this little meow. Sorry, it's so funny. So coming up for pre-order, if you're a big fan of the Alien RPG, which we are here, recently wasn't there. Recently played the Alien RPG, but I'll join later. They are doing a oh my god. Colonial Marines. Yep. Woof, okay. Expansion, which is coming up for pre-order. This one, we were talking about this earlier, I think is more based off if you're a fan of Aliens, the second movie in the Alien canon, of which arguably, and this is not up for debate, is the weakest one in all of the Aliens movies, but fight amongst yourselves.
Wow, I have never heard you deliver such a self-evidently incorrect statement on camera before.
I know. People often say, "Oh, Aliens is my favorite one. Aliens is the worst one out of all of them, including Aliens 3 and Aliens 4." I said that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. You're like,
I meant that with my whole chest. Okay,
I could understand an argument about the first three, it being the weakest. I would disagree, but I could totally understand. Bringing in 4, like you just bottomed out.
We can have a conversation about this, okay? At me on Twitter about this. But this is the pre-order. I'm super excited. I think they're like expanding the lore. And if you don't know, in the sort of Alien canon, there's many different kinds of jobs that people have. So you could be a Marine. There's like a prison planet that I really hope that they do an expansion of, because that would be really cool. There are well, I think it would be weird to play as bureaucrats, but you could also maybe play as a Wayland Yutani employee that has to figure out how to monetize the aliens. But I think this is a really cool kind of expansion. And they're going for a full retail release in March, but the pre-order is now available. This is brought to you by the Pre-League Publishing, which is the studio who also made an incredible game that I really love called Tales from the Loop, if you're familiar with that as well. And the early access pre-order gives you access to the PDF before the game actually ships. So you can play as a Marine character. You can play as, oh my goodness, what's the name of that dude who is in Aliens? Oh my goodness, it just completely left my mind.
An android?
No, is the actor who's like, game over, man, game over.
The classic line.
You could play as that. Maybe you could also play as like a child character. Also, I will say, okay, Aliens does have the best two lines of the franchise. Game over, man, game over. And get away from her, you bitch. They are classic lines. So I will give it that. I will give it that.
So I think it's worth noting that that I think this is the first expansion for Alien that isn't like a cinematic adventure. This is the first kind of like traditional RPG supplement, basically. It does have a bunch of adventures in it, but it'll be very interesting to see what kind of direction they take that aspect of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm hoping for more. So you do have to buy the first game in order for you to play this, but this should be going on pre-order for about $40. Yeah.
Very, very nice. Well, guess what? For those people who 'tis the season, who likes RPG advent calendars, everybody here, because it is free. Dice Breakers basically had posted about an advent calendar that they have, a holiday RPG, one a day, one at a time advent calendar. The official site is Rowan, Rook, and Deckard, sorry. And it's created by Grant Howitt, who is of course Honey Heist, Spire, Heart, in collaboration with a bunch of different artists. So far, let me go ahead and tell you what the since it is December 4th, the 4 days of the Advent calendar RPGs that have been released is day 1 is a D10 festive spells. Day 2, D10 things to eat at a winter festival. And day 3, D6 places to go, people to see. And D10 magical Gugos.
Gugos.
Professor Flower Whizbiz? Yes.
Yeah.
Have
Those are weird.
Floro Whizbiz.
The Floro Whizbiz.
Am I the only one who has heard the term Gugos?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that a New England or apparently England thing? Because I think Grant is from England.
Oh,
like
what?
Gugos are like knickknacks. They're like knickknacks.
Why don't you say knickknacks then?
Yeah.
Because Gugos is stupider.
I like how you're just like, doesn't everybody know Gugos? Don't we all just talk about the Gugos the Gugos over there? No, that's not a common
Well,
word.
maybe you should spice up your life with a little more Guga chat.
It's so weird.
A lot of the cases, yeah. No, so yeah, whatever the case is, these are free RPGs. One RPG is revealed today, and they are holiday themed. So if you guys want to get that and jump on those, especially if you have a lot of games going on, or you just want to have a little bit of like that eggnog spirit, right? That's Christmassy. Eggnog spirit in your games. Go ahead and check it out. The RPG Advent Calendar by Dice Breakers.
Gugos is in the Merriam-Webster website, and
Really?
I am furious.
I
am furious.
I didn't make up a word and put it in the agenda just to throw all of you for a loop. This comes from them.
I feel like you would do that. I feel like you were just making fun of us.
I'm sorry, I'm Derek. Did you not know this obscure English
I wasn't
word?
making like I was actually curious that like it seems to be a regional thing. Apparently, it's bizarre. Gugos.
Okay, there are people in chat agreeing that
See?
yes, I've heard it.
How
before,
dare
but-
you guys?
Maybe
Don't
Derek
take
is
Derek's side.
conspiring with the married.
Conspiring.
So you know what, Kate, you are beginning to go to a conspiratorial extent that my wife did when I tried to explain to her that truck nuts were real. She didn't believe me, and she was like, "I think you've set up all those websites that sell those. I think that's just a ploy to trick me."
See, the thing about truck nuts, though, is that if you grew up, like, especially in the South, like I did, and you're permanently traumatized by truck nuts, it sounds like it shouldn't exist in a world where, like, a loving God exists. It should not, there should not be such a thing as truck nuts. So I believe it. But Gugas, really?
Yep. Mhm.
Mm.
Derek, you also go out of your way to be known as a trickster and a traitor. So I don't know what you want from us.
I am absolutely innocent. Just because I like betrayal doesn't mean that I'm a master manipulator. I like to imagine myself as one, but clearly I'm not.
Mm. I'll have to see about that. But yes, so that is there. But now we have some sad news to end with. Isabella, you want to tell us?
Well, I'm sorry to end this on our headlines on sad news. I feel like we should have just a COVID section of just like things that COVID has taken away from us. But if you were looking forward to the future, the bright, shiny world of 2021 and thinking to yourself, I can't wait to return to cons again in 2021. Well, hold on to your butts because it's probably not going to happen. The first canceling of conventions has already happened for 2021. Listen, you guys, the idea that we were going to go back to cons next year, really wild. That's a very risky idea. It's just too... The idea of it right now, we got to get everybody vaccinated, and that's going to take a while. We got to get these hospitals cleared out. That's going to take a while. We got a long road ahead of us, which is why you need to wear your mask still, yes. Wash your hands still. They talked about on the news, people are not washing their hands for 20 seconds anymore. Okay, you got to still do that. You got to still socially isolate. All right, none of this, especially through the holidays. All right, I'm just saying this because I want to return to cons in the future, and I need y'all to do this. Stop going to the club. All right, it's not cool. The first cons that Reed is canceling is Book Expo, BookCon, and Unbound. And it looks like what they're trying to do is kind of re-examine the convention. This is a bummer for me. I love book conventions. I think that book conventions and TTRPGs and fantasy books, they have so much in common. It's such a shared world. I don't know hardly anybody that plays TTRPGs and hates fantasy books. Like, who are you? Where are you from? What's going on with you? Most of my friends who are big on games also are big book readers as well. But it looks like what they're trying to do is kind of reinvent the convention landscape and how that looks like. And trying to do something which I think has been the conversation this past year of do cons have to be completely in-person events? Can you also incorporate more digital elements to your conventions? And it looks like they are trying to experiment and try some new things. And so hopefully in the future, but this is the very first of the 2021 cons and shows / expos / consumer events that has been pulled, and my money would go that is not going to be the last. So,
as an interesting counterpoint, though, ReedPop did just announce what they are even labeling as optimistic dates for PAX East and PAX West and PAX Unplugged.
Yeah,
they're all moved back a little bit, but
I'm probably not. I'm just no.
It was an interesting move to announce those, but definitely understandable why they labeled them cautiously.
Yes, the idea, very optimistic. Let's keep dreaming. Let's keep hoping, wishing.
Got to keep hope alive.
You do, you really do, but I don't know about that happening. Good news though in the chat, Eurovision still happening 2021, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
If they cancel Eurovision, give up all hope. It's nothing's going to be good again. And if you don't watch Eurovision every year, you need to watch
You
Eurovision.
need
It is a
to.
trip.
It's the best thing ever.
It's just so sad that we're losing out on these just wholesome, lovely events that we can go to and just see our favorite authors, and everyone is, you know, kind of polite and well behaved, and there's like no
Except for the parts that Derek goes to. Those are different.
Yes. But let's all leave that a mystery for chat.
I haven't
to
even told you
figure out.
about my curse for when I play when I try to play vampire games with strangers at conventions. I have got scary stories.
Can't wait to hear them. It is a bummer, and I do think that after a whole year of, you know, finding out cancellation after cancellation after cancellation, at least for 2021, we kind of have this idea that it doesn't look like it's going to be realistic. So maybe now we can start planning for how to make cons in 2022 going forward more accessible, more virtual, how to integrate that and make bigger, smarter, better, safer cons for the future. I think this is a great opportunity, but also I am going to miss getting wasted in my cosplay and being like passing out on the floor of a convention, like waking up inside of someone's hotel room, but I don't remember how I got there. I am gonna miss that.
So and you're seriously accusing me of finding the weird underbellies of conventions. Moving on.
Moving on.
But now it's time for the bundle balls with Derek. There you go. Cut that in.
Well, welcome to the bundle corner. This week we have two bundles. We have one from Humble Bundle, and we've had a lot of these bundles in the past. They're doing another bundle for the Warhammer 40K Tabletop RPG. This one in particular is mainly focused around Black Crusade, which, exciting to me, allows you to play people who have heeded the true call to chaos and rejected the far future as horrible and terrible and really just deserving of being burnt to the ground and ruined so that no one has to continue to suffer. That's the optimistic read on that. So if you want to play the Chaos Space Marines marching through the galaxy, trying to liberate everyone from their own suffering, usually by causing suffering along the way, this is your way to do it. But the bundle also includes the Only War core book, which allows you to kind of play the rank and file Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, stuff like that. So depending on how much you pay, there's a $1 tier, $10 tier, 15, 18. When you get to 15 and 18, that's where you're getting both games. You're getting a lot of the source books and stuff like that. It's up to $291 worth of content. And the benefiting charity is Heifer International. So again, if you still have some stuff that you haven't completed in your collection of 40K RPGs and you want to benefit a good cause while you're buying it, then make sure to check that out. There's
Tzeentch and Slaanesh.
Mm-hmm. At the $18 tier is Tzeentch and Slaanesh.
Tzeentch, Slaanesh.
Yep. Tzeentch, the god of the chaos god of hope. Which should give you everything that you need to know about what 40K universe thinks the worth of hope is. It will only lead you to destruction. The other bundle that I'm very excited about is Bundle of Holding, and this is for the Spire. It has all of the books that have been published for the Spire so far, and this is an RPG that like really is like a brain burner. When I first kind of backed the Kickstarter and read through it, it really stuck in my mind. And for like a year afterward, I just could not get it out. I kept thinking about it. It reminded me of Vampire and Delta Green and Unknown Armies in that way that it really got its hooks into me. So for $13, you get the core book, you get the companion book, you get 3 campaign frames, which are kind of starting story ideas, and the bonus collection for $23 gives you pretty much everything else: one-shot adventures, supplements for magic, weird mysteries, more culture, plus audio tracks. But the core concept of Spire, just to really explain this, is like if you want to play a kind of urban fantasy with a lot of politics and horror kind of layered on top of it, it's a really great setting. It's a really great game. You are playing At first, I wasn't sure if you were sneezing or like recoiling in horror at how I was describing it, and I was really like,
sorry, I was just sneezing. I just needed to
Yep.
sneeze.
I thought you were just like, Derek, you're so dumb. That's not how I would describe it. But the players are presumed to be drow who are part of, or dark elves who are part of like a liberation terrorist organization who is fighting against really callously cruel, oppressive high elves who have occupied this traditional dark elven city spire, weird, surreal location. And it's just really fascinating, and I really, really love it. And anybody who kind of wants those horror, backstabby, urban fantasy stuff, I highly recommend the game. And those are your bundles for the week.
Now, we also command you, Derek Kickstarter Queen, to tell us your subjects for now about what Kickstarters that we are looking forward to.
Buns, I do need to remind you that as a subject, you cannot command me. I command you. Or more accurately, I command Emma to tell us about the first project you are excited about.
All right, so we had a little fight over this one at the beginning. Not a real fight.
No,
We're all super excited about this one. It's just what I want to throw that out there. So first up, we have Xeno Language, a game about first contact with 4 days left, ending Tuesday, December 8th. This is a tabletop role-playing game of soulful sci-fi stories where you uncover an alien language through a custom channeling board. This is by Thorny Games. I was lucky enough to recently interview Catherine Himes and Hakan Olu for Ludology, and we talked about their games. We talked about their game Dialect. They just are making amazing games based on languages and words, and it's just super fun. I'm very excited for this one. It's got like a Ouija type board where you're going to be moving the piece around on the board.
Planchette.
Planchette. That doesn't seem like a real word.
Wow.
Eric's making all the words up today.
I just making up words here. You can't make up words. That's not how language works, Derek.
Yeah. A planchette. Sure, we'll go with that. So you're contacting alien life. It has messy human relationships in there. You mix them together. I love that these games are a little bit more on the story game aspect than the role-playing game. One shots where you're just going in there, telling some stories, playing with words, and just really fun. And they're doing some really creative stuff on the role-playing game / storytelling game front. So I'm just really excited to check this one out.
I just really liked it just because it. One of my favorite movies is this movie called Arrival.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all about alien language.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it really reminded me a lot of this game. And so I was very excited to be able to like delve deep into that world. And I love the planchette element of this entire game. I think it's a really...
You know it's called a planchette. You're just doing this to side with Emma against me.
No.
You 100%.
Who knows?
Yeah, like that's what really excited me about it too, is that Arrival was such a fantastic movie. And if a story game can in any way capture the feeling of watching or thinking about Arrival, then it is an instant classic as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So 4 days left. Definitely check that out if any of those things sound exciting to you. Next up is Factions Battlegrounds with 6 days left, ending Thursday, December 10th. No decks, no luck, just your choices. Command factions representing cultures from around the world in this fantasy combat board game. So this one very much caught my eye. Mechanically, thematically, there's a lot of cool, creative, and new stuff going on here. So it's a 2 to 4 player fantasy combat game that mixes tiling, resource management, and real-time strategy. So interesting twists on usual tactics combat games. The fact there's no luck, there's no turns. So I was delving into it a little bit, and there seems to be an initiative system that simulates more of, again, real-time strategy as opposed to what you kind of expect from a tactics game, which is you plan out all your stuff, the other person plans out all their stuff, you go back and forth. Seems a little more responsive than that. This is definitely, I think, a game that it's one I have my eye on. You know, I kind of want to see it in action to see how all these pieces come together. But I do really love that they're doing creative, interesting stuff with this. The other thing that is really important to me from their page, our goal is to create stronger representation that goes beyond the creators of the game and is reflected in the staff. Is mission to give diverse voices a platform to be heard. I want to expose people to the richness of cultures and mythologies that are underrepresented, and that's reflected in the game and the artwork. So definitely take a look at this Kickstarter, because all of those things, diverse staff, underrepresented cultures, and then just some really fascinating mechanics to go along with it was really good. Also, I know they have videos and stuff on their page, but I also saw Our Family Plays Games got a preview of it. So if you want to see what exactly all that means when it comes together, there's lots of ways you can check that out. And
I have to say, I was a little surprised that this appealed to you. Like the details all sound up your alley, but you know, at first blush, when I was glancing through it, you know, the Xena language, I definitely expected you to be excited about. The next project you're going to talk about, I definitely expected you to be excited about. But this was a really interesting surprise. Like, what pulled you in initially?
Well, that first of all, like real-time strategy is totally my jam. Like StarCraft original, like I like tactical things, and I usually play them more in the video games because they just do a lot of the work for you. So like I love tactics and thinky and strategy and kind of moving things around. What gets a little tough for me is, you know, things like minis game that are more tactical strategic, because there's just a lot of processing, there's a lot of math, there's a lot of overhead to it. So I actually I got into Funkoverse a fair amount because I was doing it in kind of a lighter, easier way. So I'm really fascinated by people doing new things in this space, because the way that it's presented traditionally and historically, it's like a little much for me. But I think a lot of people are doing cutting edge stuff that aligns a little bit more with the kinds of things that I'm into. All right, up next, yeah, as you mentioned, Derek, Creature Comforts with 6 days left, ending Thursday, December 10th. This wins cutest Kickstarter board game of the week. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. I don't know if everyone wants to argue with that. In this game, you gather resources and craft comforts to turn your forest den into a cozy winter home with 1 to 5 players. This is something I just I'm so happy that this game has been made, because I always talk about designing a game that's like drinking hot cocoa on a cold winter day, or a game that feels the same as wearing a scarf. And this game is actually that. It's a game where you play as a family of forest creatures. You head out to the countryside, you gather, you harvest, you use your goods to craft comforts and collect stories to fill your den with happiness. Yeah. I mean,
very, very heartwarming indeed.
Yeah, it's so adorable and heartwarming, and maybe mechanically it will end up to be like a cutthroat game where you're like fighting over things. But a few of the things mentioned in the page, like there's not competition in worker placement, but there's enough space and there's enough stuff for everyone. So it feels like what my one hope for this is they managed to capture all of those thematics mechanically. From what I've seen so far, it sounds like they are doing that. So I think this one is just very adorable, and I'm happy to share Creature Comforts with 6 days left.
All right, next on our series with 6 days left as well, Thursday, December 10th, Questlings, it's a combo Kickstarter. It's a children's book series and an RPG adventure. So Questlings is they're coming out with 2 different products for the same kind of thing that you're contributing to. One is a series of children's books for the age range between 4 to 7. So if you are that nerdy parent that has offsprings and you want to get them into D&D and also want to teach them good lessons, this is going to be for you. The book follows the style of So You Want to Be either a paladin, a monk, a bard, a magic user, and it plans for 6 different books. And when it is finished, So You Want to Be a Paladin is finished. The Mage book is almost complete, and the remaining 4 are right now storyboarded. And the other part of Questlings that you get is an RPG, that Questlings RPG, which is a rules light game designed for kids 8 and up. Each of the kids take a role of a questling that plays both in the real life and inner hero. So players attempt to achieve some sort of goal in their child character form, and they also try to achieve something achieve something like outside of their form. So like, for example, like you could be like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and I am like in the fantasy realm, they're the paladin, like leading the charge and going into the cave and leading them with like their morning star, their glowing morning star that's blessed. But in reality, the kid is playing soccer and, you know, leading the boost to the kick to get to the goal. So it like relates and correlates to both the fantasy world and others. So the game is based on D6 and D8 rolls. Whenever a player fails, they get a boost. So the next time they try and attempt something, they have more likely of a chance to achieve, or they unlock special like attributes that they could do. This is because, you know, they don't want to disencourage, you know, if the kid gets enough bad rolls at a certain point, they're just like, I don't want to play this game. So this is hopefully a way to mitigate that effect. Since the game is for children, they also came up with slightly more kid-friendly versions of red card system. So this is actually really cool. They involve a green smiley face, a yellow concern card, and a red frowny face. So it's quite interesting. So if you guys want to look at
kids
it,
on safety tools young sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Getting kids on safety tools. Red card system, if you don't know, or the X card system in a lot of RPGs is basically like, hey, I don't feel comfortable in the subject. You flash a card, your GM either moves on, or or they just change the scenario completely. So this is something like, hey, if you want to get kids into questing or like into RPGs, this seems like a really good thing to do. And also you get a cool book as well. So Questlings, with 6 days left, Thursday, December 10th.
All right, with 7 days left, ending on Friday, December 11th, is, I believe, Euless. This is a kind of an intriguing new project that is kind of explicitly about saving and preserving the Mongolian language and writing system. I guess during the Soviet era, it was outlawed. The China has required all Mongols to learn how to speak and read Chinese. So there's a lot of concern that that's going to kind of erase a lot of their culture, make it very difficult to kind of continue. So I guess there's a number of efforts to preserve it, to spread it, to expose it to more people in some capacity. And Euless is the details of the game are very light in the Kickstarter, but it is still very intriguing. You are taking on different roles of like different gods or spiritual figures in the culture, and you are picking a champion or hero, and then you're trying to grow a kingdom through warfare or trade or scholarship or spirituality. So they're really trying to show the breadth of Mongol culture and not just boil it down to what most of us have learned about, Genghis Khan and, the horde riding across Asia. Basically, they want to show much more of it. They've got a lot of samples of this really gorgeous kind of vertical calligraphy that they're doing to preserve the language. A big part of the game too is these shagai, I believe, these not quite dice, but very close, made out of sheep knuckles. And I guess you get plastic molds of them, although you can also get real bone ones if you really want. And they've got a number of videos of rolling them, showing you how to read them. So this is very much like, if you like games as a lens to get a sneak peek, like, you're obviously not going to come out of this an expert, but if you want to get like a taste or a sample of another culture that can lead to more discovery, and kind of help the culture preserve itself, then check this out. It is run by an Englishman, but he does specifically call out that it is run in conjunction with a variety of local artists and creators and consultants. So it seems like the people who are living the culture immediately are very essentially involved in the project. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And that has 7 days left.
Awesome. With 7 days left as well, I have Dreadful Realms Caverns of the Wise Minister, which is a new dark fantasy setting for levels 1 through 5 for the 5th edition. This is, to the shock of absolutely no one, a gothic, dark setting that I'm absolutely obsessed with. One of my favorite musicals is this musical called Hadestown, where you get to live as like one of the residents of the underworld. And I also just got finished watching a ton of Let's Plays of this game called Darkwood, which reminds me a lot of the setting of this as well. So if you want to explore the inner functionings of this sort of underworld community and how all that community kind of interacts with this wise minister figure, I think this is a really cool game. I love the art. It's very gothic and it's super spooky, and so I love it. Moving on, with 8 days left, this is the Specialist. When I picked this, I thought that I was going to be able to present this whole thing in French, and I've lost my nerve, and so I'm not going to present it in French. But the team is from France, and basically what you do is you're trying to assemble a group of criminals, essentially, so that you can pull off the biggest heist in the world. And I love this idea. It also reminds me of one of my favorite French movies, which is this movie called The Pink Panther, which I'm sure most people know as a cartoon character, but in France, it's like a whole series of movies. And I love the idea of you trying to assemble a team of like a contortionist, a safecracker, a bomb specialist. You're trying to assemble a whole group of people so that you have the right set of skills that you need in order to carry off this heist. It looks like it's really fun. C'est très joli. C'est très. I've lost my nerve. I can't speak French now with everybody looking at me.
It's way. I'll look away if that'll help. It's way better French than mine.
C'est très très bon. Oh no, I can't do it. I'm too shy. 8 days left, ending on December 12th. The Specialist.
We have faith in you. Someday you'll come back and wow us.
I'll do it.
I love it.
So then the next Kickstarter we want to talk about, also with 7 days left, ending 8 days left. I mistyped that. Ending on Saturday, December 12th, is a really interesting project called Vision Layers, where the project is basically to raise money to kind of effectively subsidize this creator adapting or improving the accessibility of RPG PDFs. So what they're going to do is work with publishers, and they have a number of games that have already committed, including Time Watch, Fate Condensed, Capers, Ninja Crusade, stuff like that. So they, take the PDF that you would normally get, they add a ton of layers to it. So you end up with 6 layers for full color art, grayscale art, the normal font, an easier to read font, a dyslexia friendly font, an ability to replace symbols with text prompts in case you have trouble kind of interpreting those. So the idea is to try to make a PDF that somebody can toggle layers on and off to get to a version that works for them based on whatever visual impairment or needs that they have to make it as accessible and useful for them as possible. And that sounds fantastic to me. I wish that every RPG publisher could justify this for every RPG they put out, to be honest. So I really hope that the project the funding is successful at this point, but I really hope that more people support it, and that when it comes out, a lot of the tools get in wide use, and then it can kind of spread beyond just this list, and more games can have these kinds of releases. So that has 8 days left. Vision Layers.
That's a really cool idea. Oh, it's me again. Hi. With 10 days left, I have Maximum Recursion Depth the Karma Punk RPG. I love the idea of Karma Punk. This is like a really cool idea for me. Basically what you do is you play as one of the recusers, and you are a person who investigates poltergeist, but not like in the way of sort of banishing poltergeist, but in this way of making sure that ghosts and people in the hereafter are sent to the appropriate level of hell, or the appropriate court of hell, so that they can have fair sentencing and fair reincarnation, which I think is a really cool idea. The way of kind of making sure that people are not falsely accused of afterworld crimes and falsely banished, like some other kinds of people that bust ghosts. You know, it's not very fair. One of the things that I thought was really cool about this was the inspiration for it. It's Doom Patrol meets BoJack Horseman meets The Invisibles, Persona 5, The Matrix, and Journey to the West, which is a really cool idea.
That's
also,
quite a mix.
It's quite a mix together. And I love the idea that it's also, it imbues a lot of non-Western ideas of the hereafter, which is this idea of the reincarnation cycle and how all of that work into the ever after, which I think is just the idea of karma punk as being a gonzo Eastern religion kind of a combination of all these different things is really cool. And this has 10 days left, ending on Sunday, December 13th.
Yeah, I mean, I was sold on this like when it immediately seemed like it was Brazil meets Wraith the Oblivion meets Beetlejuice, and I was like, yeah, I like some sort of like weird, surreal investigating the incompetent bureaucracy of the afterlife. I'm all in for it.
It is Brazil and Beetlejuice together. That's spot on.
Now for our last Kickstarter of the day, with 11 days left, Monday, December 14th, Fly Away, a squawking fun game about migratory birds. Yeah. It's a strategy, or strategize and complete bird conservation who race against the clock to basically help as many basically get as many birds across as possible. It's a 2 to 4 player family-friendly game. Players take a role of conservationists, helping yes, that's what I said it. People who help animals. 42 different bird species migrate towards the south for autumn, and the players, what they do is basically try to make it let's basically try to help as many birds as possible. And so it seems it's like a relatively simple game. It's played on a big like world map of the game, so you got all these like pathways that connect, like how are you going to get your birds across. And every turn a player draws a bad event, which could be like a window collision. So like birds, you know what, windows, they don't see them sometimes, and so they just go splat against them, and that can really not be good for an animal. Sometimes you get good events. What? No, I keep my windows dirty. I don't wash them so birds know that their window's there.
Yeah, that seems like an entirely reasonable stance.
It is. It is. It's a very reasonable
100%.
stance. And also, so some of the good events that can happen is a wetlands restoration. So they really try to like teach this as a learning lesson for like, hey, what things have humans done that can really either negatively or positively help bird migrations. Also, if the players move too slow or they don't get their birds fast enough across, a really, really bad event's going to happen. So you got to get birds.
What's the bad event called, Bonsai? I've been waiting this whole time for this.
Oh boy.
The Birdtastrophe. It's Birdtastrophe. The beds. So yes, it's very.
So the interesting thing to me,
so
like
many
aside from the getting kind of echoes of Wingspan here, I think the interesting thing that leapt out to me is that this isn't a map of North and South America. Like you kind of would just presume you would end up getting in a game like this. The company is based in Singapore, and this map is of East Asia. So you get to learn about the migratory birds of East Asia instead of, Canadian geese, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a very cool thing, and you got like very accurate drawings of all the little birds. And also, cool note, it's not a game that you fight with other players to win. You are just basically people trying to get as many birds over, and the person who has basically successfully migrated more birds is the winner. So it's all about getting the birds over. Get over there, bird. You know, just take a bird and throw it. That's how
So
you get it
Uber,
over.
but for birds. That's what I'm
Yes,
hearing on
Uber
this.
for
Sure.
But yes, that was Fly Away, a squawking fun game. Well, my turn. That's in the title. That's what it says. All right, the
It does
puns.
say that. It says that.
Does.
I saw that.
Does, yeah, you're right.
But yes, friends, that has been Table Takes here on Gen Con. But don't worry, hey, there's a lot of other shows that are happening this week. All of these, by the way, are in Pacific Standard Times, starting with, of course, Monday, 6 p.m., Board Games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesday, we have at 1:30 p.m., This Game Gets Dicey, followed by at 4 p.m., Fireside with Peter Atkinson. Friday, 2 p.m., of course, you get us, our lovely faces. We keep you up to date on what's going on in the gaming scene, all of that stuff, and what you can look forward to, especially as we get closer to the holidays. We're going to probably share our own, like, hey, this is what we got ourselves for the holidays. So that's something you can look over to. And hey, if you miss any of our episodes live here on Twitch, don't worry. We're going to be on YouTube 24 hours later. You can go ahead and just follow all of the various things. We got Discord, we got Twitters, we got Twitch, we got YouTube. Follow us. Why don't we have a TikTok yet? We need to get a TikTok so we can get all the stuff.
I think that's all you, Bonsai.
No TikTok we need, but yes. So thank you, of course, Isabella, Emma, Derek, so much for joining us, and thank you guys in chat as well for being here. Don't forget, have a lovely, lovely evening.
The McRib is back.
Oh, the McRib.
Go get yourself a McRib.
I feel like the way you shouted that was like a warning. Like, everyone, watch out! The McRib is back. Turn around, it's behind you right now.
Don't leave home without a mask. The McRib is back, everybody.
Sponsored by the way, hashtag that's just bye.